Hello and welcome to Shadow School. My name is Matt Sandbank. Today we will be making fish. And before we get started putting this puppet together, let's take a look at the shadow screen to see what the finished product will look like. Here are the materials we will be using to make our puppet today. Okay, we're going to start by breaking down our cardboard box. I just cut along the seam here, open it up, and cut along this other seam. The fish you're going to make will probably fit on just one of these panels of cardboard, but you can keep the other one around in case you end up needing some more workspace. Now, I know that I recommend using a pencil, and I stand by that, but when I'm making these videos, I like to draw with a pen just so that you can see what I'm doing. First, we're going to make the head of the fish, and the way we do that is we just start by making an egg shape. So let's make a kind of large egg shape. Now, if I was using a pencil, this is why I recommend pencil, I'm not entirely satisfied with that shape. I would probably make this part a little bit bigger up top and then have it taper off a little bit more. And then when you use a marker, that all those lines become a little confusing. The pencil is a little easier to keep track, which is why I say use a pencil. So we've got the head of our fish. What we want to do is add a fin up top and a fin on the bottom, cut out a little wedge for the mouth, and then we'll put a little dot for the eye, where that eye is going to go. The middle part of the fish is another kind of egg shape, just a tapered off oval. We're going to try to get the top end of it, the big end of the oval, to be roughly about this size. So we'll kind of maybe start it off like that, and then we're going to taper it off just to a smaller point. So you'll see that what you have with your fish is kind of this, the larger part of the fish, and then the whole thing, when it gets put together, it gets tapered off to a point. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right. And then for the fin, what we're going to do is, here, let's just use this. That's what I was saying, while we want to keep this other panel of cardboard available. Let's just use this other one to make sure the size is about right. For the fin, we just have this part of the oval, which is going to overlap with this. And then I like to make the fins kind of flare out a little bit. So we'll flare out up top and the bottom. And then you can use whatever kind of design you want to, join this point of the fin with this point. Let's do a kind of wavy one for this fin. You don't have to do wavy. You can do all sorts of different designs for that. Experiment with different sorts of ideas. Now that we have the three pieces of our puppet drawn, we're going to cut them out. Now, when I cut out, what I like to do is do kind of, when it's a more complicated cut, I like to do kind of a broad cut so that I can hold on to the cardboard a little easier, and then I like to cut. Now, in cutting, the best part of the scissors to use are the back end of the scissors. If you try to cut with the front end, you don't have nearly as much control as you do with this end of the scissors. Just a little cutting tip. And also, what I like to do when I'm cutting is I try to keep the scissors pretty much in one location and then move the drawing with my other hand. So you see those scissors are mostly staying, they're not moving very much. What's really moving is my left hand, which guides everything. This gives a lot of control, and this is really helpful when you get to more complicated drawings. This fish is not super complicated. You could use more or less any technique you want, but in videos where we're doing puppets with lots and lots of details, lots of ins and outs, you're going to want to practice this cutting technique of using the back end of the scissors and using your left hand to guide the cardboard while your cutting hand stays more or less stationary. Of course, that's reversed if you're left-handed and you're using left-handed scissors. Okay, so let's clear this out of the way, and let's line up our fish pieces. Fantastic. And let me show you where we're going to be putting the joints of the puppet. We'll just put a little dot there, and there, and there, and there. Next, we're going to use our hole punch to punch out those dots. And of course, don't forget that eyeball. All right, now we're ready to join the pieces together with our 2 brass paper fasteners, otherwise known as doohickeys, otherwise known as brads. It doesn't really matter which part of the puppet is stacked on top of the other because we've got plenty of space to work with. We're going to line up those holes, drop the brad through, pinch it with our fingers, turn it over, and then fold those tabs down. Do that with piece number 1, and then we're going to do it again with piece number 2. Line up those holes, drop the brad through, pinch it, turn it over, and then fold those tabs down. And now we have our fish. All we need now are the rods. So let's take our bendy straws, bend those into L shapes. Now, to get your puppet to work the best way possible, you want mechanical advantage, which means you're going to take the bend of the straw and you're going to place it close to the joint of the puppet. This is with the bends of the straws placed close to the joint of the puppet, as opposed to this, where you see you have the bend of the straw away from the joints of the puppet. It's a small difference visually, but it'll make a big difference in how your puppet handles. So, if the puppet is flat on the table, you're going to want your straw sticking straight up in the air. Just take a piece of tape. Well, let's be generous. Let's take 2 pieces of tape just to make sure that fish has all the support it needs. This straw might end up being a little bit bigger than your fin. It's no problem to place it at a slight angle like that. That won't harm the way your puppet operates even the slightest bit. Sometimes the tape ends up going over the edge of the puppet. You just fold it down on the other side. No need to get out a piece of, no need to get out your scissors and cut that. You can just fold it over like that. Now, your puppet is complete at this point. If you would like to use those optional chopsticks, you just slide those in to the straw like so. It's like chopsticks and bendy straws were destined to go together because they fit together so well. You just take a little bit of tape, pinch it so it's holding both the straw and the chopstick, and you wrap it around as tight as it'll go, just so you have a nice snug connection point there. If you have duct tape, that works a little better to hold the chopstick, but Scotch tape will do the trick. And there you have a shadow puppet fish. Now, fish are great because making a shadow puppet fish, you can play with lots of different shapes and proportions. Let me show you a few variations that I made real quick today. We've got this fellow. I had some fun with the different shapes of the fin, and then also changing the proportion of the middle part of the body, making that real skinny in comparison to the head of the fish. Here we got a kind of smaller fish, but with a large set of fins in proportion. Oh, and then this is a fun variation, adding a predatory fish and giving it some teeth. I decided to give it 2 eyeballs just to see how that might look on the shadow screen. So try out some different fish variations for yourself, and don't forget to click like and subscribe if you enjoy making these shadow puppets with me. Again, I'm Matt Sandbank, this is Shadow School, and I will see you next time.